It happens every offseason. Players are either added to rosters or moved around to different teams, and because of that, a lot of players benefit from it. What we need to do is identify who those players are and keep an eye on them throughout the offseason. Because to find success in fantasy football, you want to draft some of the guys that could surprise people in 2025, especially those who paid no attention in the offseason. That's why in today's show, I'm talking about 5 players that could be potential off-season fantasy winners. What is going on, Headliner Nation? That's right, today we're talking about 5 players that have the potential of being off-season winners in fantasy football. But I have another winner to announce as well, and I'm talking about our Super Bowl giveaway. Kyle and I put in a video a couple weeks ago that we wanted you, the community, to guess the final score to the Super Bowl. A lot of people submitted their guesses. No one was right. So I had to go through and find the closest score to the final outcome. But what I want to do for the person who was the closest to the final score, I either have a signed TFH mini helmet or I have a few options worth of signed merchandise here in my office that I will offer up. I'll let them go ahead and decide. So here is the winner of our Super Bowl giveaway. You need to reach out to me at info@thefantasyheadliners.com. It is John Hoffert 8899. He guessed the score 34-17 Philly. So once again, John hit me up there through the email so I can go ahead and get you your prize. But now, let's talk about some off-season winners for fantasy football. Now let's start off with just one quarterback. How about Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders? Now this kid showed in year 1 of his NFL career that he is more than capable of leading an NFL franchise. Head coach Dan Quinn and offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury are coming back in 2025, which means Jayden Daniels will feel even more comfortable in his second year of this offense. But let's not forget that Jayden Daniels only had one stud wide receiver in 2024 in Terry McLaurin, and his running game of Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler, they basically underperformed for most of the year, yet Jayden Daniels and the Commanders were only one game away from the Super Bowl. They have an above average offensive line. They have an above average defense. But most importantly, they know they need more firepower on offense to beat Philadelphia in this division. And now, players are going to want to start going to Washington for the first time in forever just because they want to play with Jayden Daniels and have that shot at a Super Bowl. Washington has the 3rd most available cap space in the NFL in 2025. The other wide receivers on the roster, guys like Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown, they're both free agents. The writing is on the wall for Washington to add to the offense, and that's only gonna benefit Jayden Daniels. Could you imagine if they were to bring in the likes of maybe a T. Higgins to Washington to pair with Terry McLaurin? That would be enough to just blow the ceiling off of Jayden Daniels. Okay, next player. How about a running back? Let's talk about Chuba Hubbard of the Carolina Panthers. Now, Jonathan Brooks is out. He's already done for the 2025 season, so the young competition there for Chuba Hubbard is no longer a threat. And we know that the Panthers like Chuba Hubbard. He just signed a $33 million extension in the middle of the 2024 season last year in November. He just had a career year with 1,366 total yards and 11 touchdowns. And Carolina actually started to look a little bit better towards the end of the season. It's like the Dave Canella system finally started to click for the Panthers and Bryce Young. There is a lot of talk about adding offensive weapons on the outside for Bryce Young. Get him more help. Well, that's only going to take defenders outside of the box, which is going to help Chuba Hubbard. The offensive line took a huge leap forward in 2024 and finished the year inside the top 10 units in the NFL, according to PFF. The table is set for another similar type year, and his less than sexy name value is going to make him an absolute steal in 2025. Now, real quick, before I dive into the next player, let's shout out today's sponsor, Turtle Beach. Now, we've been working with Turtle Beach here for the last few months and we're absolutely loving it. We've talked about all the gaming accessories that you could get to level up your game. Whether it's the Stealth 700 headset, racing simulators, flight simulators, whatever it may be, they got you covered on the gaming side. But it's not just gaming. I know so many of you out there have a home office, a home computer, a desktop computer. You can level that up as well. I don't know if you're anything like me or not, but I hate seeing cords all over my desk. And that's why I absolutely love the wireless keyboards and mice that Turtle Beach has as well. I've put them all throughout my house and the desk just looks so much cleaner. So whether you're into gaming or you just want to make your home office look a little bit cooler, you need to head over to turtlebeach.com today and use code word headliners at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's right, that's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com when you use the promo code headliners. Making your setup at home is the definition of winning, which is great for this show because now we're talking about yet another potential offseason winner. What about the next guy? Could it be Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints? The dude just had what many would call a disappointing year overall, but that's mostly due to some missed time and the Saints just absolutely sucking nuts. But in reality, Kamara just had 1,493 total yards and 8 touchdowns. That's the best season he's had since 2020. We all know the Saints offense for years has been boring and about as vanilla as possible. So why is Alvin Kamara about to be an off-season winner? Well, now they have a new head coach in Kellen Moore, a true offensive-minded coach. He's been the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Chargers, and most recently, the Philadelphia Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl. Now, he's been with those 3 teams over the last 6 years of his career. 4 of those years, he had a top 10 rushing offense. We know the New Orleans Saints are not a team stacked with offensive weapons, but Kellen Moore has already come out and absolutely praised Alvin Kamara. Plus, there is no team in the NFL right now with less cap space than the New Orleans Saints. So no big-time, high-profile guys are going to be coming into New Orleans this offseason. It's going to be a whole lot of Alvin Kamara once again in 2025, and that's why I think he has the potential of being an off-season winner. But how about a couple ball catchers? Let's start off with Malik Nabers, first of the New York Giants. Now, as a rookie, he had 170 targets, 109 receptions, and 1,200 yards, and he did it with some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL. But now we enter the 2025 offseason, and we all know that there's going to be a new quarterback for the New York Giants. Do they draft the likes of Shedeur Sanders? I've heard Matthew Stafford's name being floated around out there. I've also heard that Russell Wilson could be an option as well, but it doesn't really matter. The point of me even bringing up any of those names is this: they are all going to be better than what Malik Nabers had in 2024. There's no way they're going to be worse than Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito, or Tim Boyle. Malik Nabers is one of the best young wide receivers in the NFL, and now he's about to get a better quarterback. That right there is the definition of winning in the offseason. Now, for the last and final guy, let's go to a little bit of a lower tier. Let's talk about Jalen McMillan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, a lot of people didn't even know who this kid was until the second half of the NFL season, but he ended the season with 7 touchdowns in his last 6 games, and now, all of a sudden, he is someone that a lot of people are paying attention to. But he needs that attention because of what may happen this offseason. Chris Godwin is a free agent and he's coming off of a torn ACL. And the Bucs, they don't have a ton of cap space. We already know that Baker Mayfield is more than capable of racking up passing stats. We've seen him do it multiple years in Tampa Bay. We also know that Mike Evans is getting a little bit older. We also know that Jalen McMillan is the clear number 2 option right now in this offense. If Chris Godwin leaves, Jalen McMillan is in line for 120 plus targets in this offense. If Chris Godwin were to stay, he will not be 100% to start the year, and Jalen McMillan will still have a chance to start off the season hot. Maybe he even turns into a fantasy trade asset, somebody that you can part ways with after the first month or so of the season. Regardless of what happens though with Chris Godwin, I think we can all agree that what we saw from Jalen McMillan in 2024 is enough for us to at least pay attention to him here this offseason. If Chris Godwin does leave though, Jalen McMillan could end up being a huge fantasy winner. So all right, there you have 5 potential winners for this offseason leading into the fantasy football season. We need to be sure to pay attention to free agency, to the NFL draft, because if the situation plays out like we talked about today for these 5 players, these are going to be guys that we want on our fantasy football team in 2025. So if you like today's video, do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't already, and then consider subscribing if you're not already part of this community. We talk all things football all year long, so if you want to dominate, you have found your home here with Headliner Nation. Now I'm going to go ahead and get after the day. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.
I'm a headliner.